Hurling in the shadow of the Rockies. The podcast engaging community through intimate stories of the individual, fostering their culture through hurling in the West. This is Jason Brown. Thank you for listening and welcome to episode 5.
Once we played the first tournament and got into real actual combat on the field, man, I mean, that was it. It's the best sport I'd ever played at that point. The best team sport, especially.
We had such a good time and such a great turnout at the 2019 McEnany Cup in Spokane a few weeks back. Thank you for everyone who came out to play and to support the teams and this great sport. It was really great to meet folks and connect names to faces. We will be at more events that are coming up, so if you see us on the sidelines or down on the pitch, please come down and say hey. You know, being part of this community really drives us, and meeting and talking with folks is such a big part of it. In today's episode, we're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to listen to an interview that Naoise Waldron did with Kaleb Barrett after the Grizz had won their first ever national championship. Kaleb talks about the importance of culture and identity and the connection of heritage to hurling. A great conversation between teammates and friends that were here in Missoula at the beginning of it all. Please enjoy.
Right, could you please tell me your full name and where you're from?
My full name is Kaleb Carl Barrett, and I am from Lolo, Montana.
And where were you born and when?
I was born in Lake Forest, Illinois, 1984, on the second month of the year, on the second day.
Cool. And so everybody has a history. Can you tell me about your history? How did your family end up here if you were born in Chicago and stuff?
Well, half of my family came to Montana right near the turn of the 19th century, the 20th century, I guess you would say. So right around 1900, they came to Great Falls. And then the other part of my family is from the Chicago area. And so ended up in Montana, coming to where my dad's side of the family was from. Most of my Irish heritage and Irish ancestors are located from the Chicago area. And before that, Pennsylvania and the East Coast, and I don't know the rest of the history from there, when they came over, that kind of deal. So. And
so you mentioned your Irish heritage. So how far back does that go? Do you know, or?
Well, I don't know how many generations I am in the States. I could be 6 or 8 or 4, or I'm not really too sure. My family, I know there's a few people doing some looking at the history of that, but I know that my family, the name originates in Galway, Cork, or Mayo. I know that much anyway. I know the last man to be executed publicly in England carried my last name.
Nice one.
Yeah.
And so like whenever you were growing up and all, you would always had an Irish identity, would you?
Yeah. There was always since I was born, St. Patrick's Day and just hearing about it, family. There was definitely fierce pride in being Irish, and that would obviously come out specifically on March the 17th every year, but yeah, there was always a reminder of that heritage and that history, and like I said, a fierce pride, and I don't know, they were proud of that for sure. So. And
what did you do anything special for St. Patrick's Day or any other kind of day that you kind of thought that, geez, my other friends don't do this? Anything like that?
Yeah, I suppose we had some traditions, like you'll get a kick out of this, you'll get a laugh out of this. When I was a kid, and right around March time, they'd be, there might be a little snow on the ground. Sometimes there'd be a little bit of green coming through, and what my parents would do is take these like suckers and group them up together and hide them around the bushes and stuff, and wherever the green was popping through the snow or whatever, they'd put them there. They said that was the leprechauns coming through, for St. Patrick's Day, and they're doing their thing, and they're dropping off the suckers for us to find amongst their tomfoolery of the day.
Yeah, so you were always aware of them kind of pishogues and things like that then?
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. And then, so that's what has been coming down all along, like as you were growing up. So we'll say, like for example, now, like what do you do to celebrate your Irishness or your Irish heritage? Is there any kind of significant way you do that?
Yeah, I mean, like again, firstly proud in being Irish. It's not, something I just celebrate on St. Patrick's Day kind of deal. I always uh, am quick to point, not to point out, but I don't know, when people ask me about my heritage, I've got no problem telling them right away that I have Irish descent, that my name is Irish. I wear freaking boots with 4-leaf clovers on them. I mean, so people, I always try to hint at something that way. I play hurling, learning the language. Those are all things that are key for me in order to, uh, I don't know, I guess give reverence to where my heritage comes from and why I'm proud about it. Like uh, T. Madre always says, it's a culture, not a blood thing. So I want to partake in that culture as much as I can, just because I look up to it a lot.
So yeah, so then, yeah, like you said, you're learning the language and you're playing hurling and things like that. So pretty much it's almost like you're bringing it back to life.
Yeah.
It's almost like you haven't that you were obviously removed by a couple of generations, but now you're gone back. It's almost like you're a first generation immigrant.
Yeah. I suppose you could actually say that, because I've been always drawn to going back to what that culture is. I've always had, always just had a calling, is the best way I could say, is like to going back to that and where all that came from and why Irishness is the way it is, why being Irish is so important to me, and all the things that are part of the culture that are important, that mean something, that have like the native side would say, that's big medicine. That's knowing where you came from helps you know where you're going too. And that's big for me. I pay attention and study a lot of guys that I call like righteous warriors. Guys that that lived a righteous way, but also weren't afraid to fight for what they believed in and did it the right way. Fought for the good, and so that's part of also why I like knowing that side of my heritage. So
Yeah, and like you just touched on the native thing there, because like you have you also have a closer native heritage, don't you?
yeah, like we were talking. It's a culture, not a blood thing, and as our government made it to where, it's funny how everybody says, well, I'm an eighth or 24th or half or whatever of native blood, and I'd be considered an eighth Nez Perce, which is, they're from this area, from this valley right over the hill. And so, the native tribal culture and the Irish tribal culture also both go together, so they're very parallel. They have a similar, I think, a similar social structure that way too. How they behave, how they socialize, the warriors, all that. I think that all is very similar, so it makes it, there's a draw to me both ways that way, to bring those both together.
We'll say then, for the next generation of what would be classed as Montana Irish, would there be anything that you hope to leave for them? Anything in particular?
Yeah, I think, just to to be interested in their heritage, to be a part of the culture, which includes the language, playing hurling. We've brought hurling here. Yourself in particular, you introduced hurling into Missoula, into Montana, and it's no wonder that it's spreading like wildfire, because there's a lot of people that have fierce pride in being Irish, and it's something they can partake in, that their ancestors took part in, and it's something that can bring them closer to what their heritage is and the culture of being Irish. I'd also encourage people to look at the language, especially like the native people always say, without a language, you don't have an identity either. And I think that's pretty exciting about being able to learn the language and take part in that. It means a lot to me. It kind of goes deep to the core of what I'm made of in order to hear the language, listen to it, learn it, speak it. So that's what I'd tell young, folks that are Montana Irish, that are wanting to keep that torch going, and be more associated with their Irishness, Definitely in the region that I grew up, people want to be more associated with being Irish. Butte, America especially, people, they want to be part of that culture and that association, and it's right there for them. I think just some people need to be pointed in the right direction, that's all.
Yeah. Of course, it was the Irish that coined that term, Butte America. Yeah. Separated from Montana.
That's right,
yeah. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything else extra that you think you left out that you wanted to say about being Irish, or how you're kind of going back to your roots and getting this back alive again?
I don't know. It's just that, like I said, it's exciting for me. I love playing hurling. I love being part of the culture. It's really cool. I've always looked for an outlet or a direction to go to find a deeper meaning in my culture, and so I'm pumped about it. It helps me work that much harder at it and play that much harder during hurling. Because all I can think of is the generations that came before me, and when I'm wanting to quit or I'm not feeling good out on the pitch or whatever, I'm a little sore or something. That's part of what keeps me going, is knowing the fellas that came before me that didn't have no quit. That's the only reason I'm here alive today, because they didn't quit on life, and they were, a long time ago, they were dealt a lot harder hand than what we have today. So obviously they were a little tougher than most, or otherwise they wouldn't have made it. So
what were your first impressions of hurling, or how did you get drawn to it, or where did you first see it?
I first saw hurling in little clips on TV. There was a Guinness ad a long time ago that had like a hurling ad in it. It was a hurling, there was a free being taken, or a penalty shot being taken, and that's kind of where I'd first seen it. They would air it a lot when I was pretty young, like right around St. Patrick's Day time, like right that whole week, especially around Chicago and stuff. A lot of Guinness gets drank around that city. And so, that ad was there. I always had an interest, like what was that they were playing, and then saw it on TV a few more times, over here in the States you don't see it a ton. Then went to Ireland, finally got to go there in 2010. My wife and I finally got to go there. That was our honeymoon. We saved up for a year just to go there and got to see hurling a little bit. I mean, it was like kids walking around here with a football. The parallel would be the kids back there walking around with a hurl and a slitter in their hand, and they'd be, hitting them off a wall or off an alley or something like that. And I was fascinated with that. I was like, man, that's a cool looking sport. I didn't have the guts to ask anyone to take a look at the hurl or anything like that, or the slitter, because I just thought they'd think I was a dumbass Yank, And so, then I flipped, a couple of years ahead, and I'm taking the Irish course, and this knacker named Naoise Waldron shows up and says he wants to start a hurling club, and saw the video. I'd already seen hurling before. I've been paying attention to it on YouTube and stuff, and that was the golden opportunity. I was all over that. I was probably one of the first names down on the list because I was fired up to play hurling. So that's kind of where it got started for me anyway.
And what did you make of it when you were going to practice and first and all?
It was freaking outstanding, I mean, it was like instantly all I could think was, this is like every sport I've ever played all wrapped into one, You could even put rodeo in there, kind of bumping people around. The old, the old head, the old bull rush there. But anyway, I mean, it was like you take every sport that we play in the States as Americans, and then you combine it, and that's hurling, And it's funny, people that had never seen the sport were like, holy cow, that's like every sport all wrapped into one. And so it was kind of, for us, we sort of go into it a little bit easier than taking up any other new sport, even though there's a learning curve there. I mean, it was frustrating too, because I wanted to be better at it right away, but most of the skills that come along with hurling came to me pretty good, just because of playing all the sports that I did, baseball, basketball, football, that kind of deal. So
then finally, whenever you got to play your first tournament and play your first game, what was that like?
Oh, it was freaking, right then, like, we'd been training and scrimmage against each other and stuff, but once we played the first tournament and got into real actual combat on the field, man, I mean, that was it. it's the best sport I'd ever played at that point. Best team sport, especially. Like, I mean, fast, good contact. You know, you can be aggressive. The game moves, just unreal, just outstanding. And at the same time, I wanted to be better too. You know, the whole time I was thinking, man, I want to be a lot better at this. But I remember leaving the parking lot and talking to some Irish fellas that were living in Oregon, you know, and they asked us, you know, what do you think of the game? Because they had found out it was the first time we played it, and that's exactly what I said. This is the best sport I've played. You know, it was awesome.
Yeah, and so then you kind of fast forward ahead to through all that hellish winter training and all that stuff and all the bingo nights and all that, and then we finally get that Buffalo Cup tournament, that first kind of proper tournament where there was a trophy at stake. What was that like?
Oh, that was, yeah, I mean, like you say, there was a lot of build-up and effort and working hard with no instant results, you know, and that's, I think, that could run a lot of people off. It shows the quality of our team and the character in, you know, our mental character, our mental toughness too, because like you said, training in the winters when there's no daylight, it's freezing, we're inside the whole time, there's no room, you know, banging off the walls and jamming fingers all over the place and everything. I mean, all that effort and not having a game, you know, that was tough. And then finally going to the Buffalo Cup and having a scrap too. Like, it wasn't just a game, it was a brawl. You know, especially the final game against the Red Branch. You know, the field was saturated, muddy, chopped up, grass is like knee high. I mean, not that high, but above the ankle, you know, the ball's not moving anywhere. You can't help but get into a brawl with that. You know, you're either going to fight or you're going to lose the game, you know, and so it was fun. I kind of like getting into a fight every now and then, kind of let you know who you are and where you stand on things, and so that was fun that way. And to win the cup, huge. I think that was big momentum.
Yeah, what did that do for the team, do you think, just that whole trip in general and then actually winning a trophy?
Well, it was a big realization. You know, we had lost to Red Branch the first time by only a goal, you know, by 3 points. And so there was some letdown and also some motivation from that. We wanted to play them again, obviously. And there was also a realization when we won the tournament, it was like, oh, we can win and we are good. And, you know, we're going to build on that. But it was just, I think it was a confirmation that what we had done, all that training had come together and made us a whole different team than we were in September, you know. So we were night and day difference, 180 degrees difference in the kind of team we were. So I think that solidified everything, that thought process of, are we better? There was questions there, you know, can we beat teams that have played together for a while? And yeah, we didn't just beat them, we beat them up.
And so in that tournament, you know, especially kind of new players coming to the fore and new players kind of joining the team. I mean, Sean was there for the first tournament, but he was a completely different player than that day, wasn't he?
Yeah, everybody. I mean, you got guys like Michael and Sean in the middle, shutting down the middle of the field, just taking every puck out. You know, I mean, teams the entire season, the entire spring, you know, all the way through till May, didn't have a whole lot of chances to score on us just because we were always, you know, controlling the puck outs, we were controlling the ball. It was fun to watch because, like you said, everybody was entirely different. Most of us were playing a different position. You know, we weren't even playing the same place we were at the beginning. So yeah. I know I wasn't, you know, I was half forward and normally I was playing midfield at the beginning. So
yeah. And then we had like new players come along from that first tournament. So we had Sophie hadn't been there the first day. John and James were new. Little Kevin was there.
Yeah.
Who else was new? I think that's about it. Yeah, but like for someone like Chad that came along out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's way awesome, surprising. You know, I mean, that's half the time I get caught watching those guys and like, holy cow, they're playing some ball, you know, and they just got going with us, you know. I think that was the whole mentality too of our team. That was part of what was special about that run that we had going there, is that we all brought everybody up to another level. And then as the confidence grew, everybody's skill level grew, we started loosening up. And when you're loose, you're fast, you know, and I don't think we got overconfident on the same side of that coin either, you know. We stayed humble. I don't think we ever took anything for granted. We didn't go in there feeling we were just gonna walk away with everything. There was always I think the thought in the back of our head, like, teams can beat us, but we're going in there to win. That's the only reason we showed up anywhere, is to win it. So.
And we'll say, like, for example, getting to know people on the team. I mean, you already kind of knew Chad, didn't you? But then it's different now, like, is it?
Oh yeah. When you're sleeping with guys, stacking them in like cordwood in those hotels, you can't help but get to know somebody. In all seriousness, they have the same attitude. They have the same motivations. They want to be on the team. They want to be associated with the Irish culture. They want to play hard. And those are the people I want to be around.
Yeah. So then moving on to the game and the stadium, like we talked about earlier that you have that Irish heritage, that Irish connection, and then that Grizz connection as well. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, that's a coming together of a lot of things there. Being a Grizz alum, and also being a current student right now. Obviously, I've got a lot of pride in being a Grizzly. U of M, you could say I bleed maroon and silver. Like, that's part of who I am for sure. It's ever since I've been real little, I've always been a Grizz fan. It's been the team. If I could, play for them, especially football, I would have loved to do that. And I came here to rodeo for them, so I've got a lot of school pride. And then to be able to play hurling and given another chance to pursue something athletically again as a team for the university, that was huge for me. And then you couple that with bringing an Irish sport for the first time to the stadium, my Irish heritage. There was a whole lot of boiling over going in my blood. Whatever Warriors lived inside of my DNA, they were shouting that day. I couldn't hear a thing when I was coming out of the field. I couldn't even hear myself screaming. I know I was screaming loud enough to about lose my voice. So, and it carrying Old Glory on the field as well, man. That was, don't get no better than that, So.
Yeah. So then after that whole experience on the field and stuff, like, because it was a completely different field than that marsh we were playing on down in Portland, kind of got us ready for Gaelic Park a bit, like, and what was going to happen there.
Yeah, that was huge. Very fortunate, in fact, that we got to play on a sprint turf type of field. Before we went to Gaelic Park, I guess we knew that was the surface that the national championship was going to be played on. And so to go from that bog that we played on to our field, the game was entirely different. The score, pure blowout. Because we were able to play the type of game that we need to play. Fast hurling. That's the way we played. We beat people to the ball. Let the ball do the work a little bit too. And that was awesome. That's the way the game needs to be played. And I'd say the turf kind of sends it a little too far in the fast direction. The ball flying around everywhere, bouncing everywhere. But at the same time, we were fortunate to play on it because, the ball wasn't just landing into a bog and staying there. It would actually bounce up and you'd have a chance to play it even off the bounce, that kind of deal. Or pull on it, send it along the ground with pace, or even in front of the goal. You had a good chance at sending the ball with pace at the goal and having a good chance at scoring, So that kind of deal.
And you had a bad fall on the turf there as well, did you?
Yeah. I was giving her the onion, hammer down, and slid down on one knee to play the ball. Tried to play the ball into my hand as I was cutting in front of a guy, and took the skin off of my left leg right on the outside of my shin. Took it off of there like a really good road rash. Best rug burn I ever had. Sucker was sore.
So then moving on to nationals, whenever we finally got to nationals, like, what was that whole experience like? That we finally got there after all them nights of bingo and all that old jersey selling and
you're sweating. Yeah, all the jersey selling and the right. Exactly. We had to do all that stuff to build money and fundraising and trying to get everybody organized, and then buying the tickets to get to New York one at a time. We can't even buy them as a team together, and then trying to get everybody figured out to be in the same hotel. And it's just is wild, and it did all come together. And then the culmination of coming onto the field there at Patty's Field for the first day, you know, like the first time we get to walk out on the pitch, that was pretty awesome. It was pretty real at that point too. I'm really glad we got to play the first game against a team that we could play well against, you know, because I was a little overexcited. If that was the championship game, I would have had a hard time settling in and playing ball, you know, because I was pretty jacked up. Like, so yeah, I mean, that was cool. I've never been to New York, never been to the East Coast, and so all that together was pretty awesome.
Then yeah, so after those group games, and we kind of figured out what was shaping up for the semi-finals. Like, what was it like to get to Kaleb Barrett?
Oh, that was even cooler, you know. In a way, like, we wanted to be on Patty's Field or on Gaelic Park, you know, right away, because we wanted to see like the main pitch. But at the same time, it was kind of fun. It was sort of like it was a little present waiting for us, you know, to go play on the pitch, you know. So that was cool that way, like how we were kind of sheltered away from Gaelic Park on Patty's Field in the woods there, playing those first kind of group games, and then finally getting to go over there. We must have gone there the first day and actually got to see what it looked like, and it was kind of fun that way. It was like a surprise, like opening up a present, like, whoa, this is rad. You know, seeing a full pitch set up for hurling, you know, done right. That was really rad. It's hard not to be really freaking fired up to play there.
Was there anyone that kind of stepped above what you thought that they were capable of?
I don't know. It's really hard to put that, because the team, I mean, we all started from nothing, so it's really hard to put like who had improved above and beyond, you know. Like, I don't know, it's really hard to say. Like, I couldn't, to be honest with you, to be dead just straight honest, there's no way I could put one finger on one player. I'd say that was it. The whole time we moved together as a team, we played together as a team, and we improved as a team. And to me, to look at it with clear eyes and say, look at us September the 1st training with 2 hurls among the whole team, shooting on lacrosse nets and running around, didn't know how to hand pass, nothing, man. I mean, you know, could barely rise the ball. To looking at us now, you know, it's good to look at, but it also pushes us forward to be better now. Again, you know, step it up double again. You know, that was 1 year of training. What's going to happen after 2 years of training that way? We just need to keep that kind of intensity. But yeah, to the short answer to that is that I could not put a label on one person of our team that, you know, surpassed the expectations of their ability.
What about the defense?
Oh,
How good were the defense for us?
Oh, jeez. I mean, I don't think in the final, you know, there was 2 goals scored on us, and none of them were the ball. Did it get into the box? Like, I don't think ever. I mean, think of that. I didn't think about that till right now. The ball didn't enter the box, you know, against us. So that's all you got to say. It's simple as the ball didn't enter the box.
Yeah.
So
yeah, people like Gemma, Brian, John,
yeah,
Matt, Tanner especially.
Yeah, the T-wall.
The T-wall. Yeah, they were huge.
Freaking Aryan back there. Yeah, I mean, they were catching everything, blocking everything. The tenacity. They were ruthless, gritty. You know, they were fun to watch. You know, I'm sitting up at the half forwards. The ball didn't get in there much. You know, we stopped it at midfield a lot. But when it did get there, you're suffering the consequences. If you're a forward, you're going to suffer the consequences. Something is going to happen to you. You know, you're not going to waltz into the box and have a nice go at it. You know.
Yeah. And then just the last question I was asking Chad as well about the lads with my father commented on it when he was over. He was just looking around and he said, because he saw Turbo and he saw Paul and he saw the St. Patrick's statue and he saw your man and the other young fella.
Yeah.
And just saying like how tribal we are here in Montana.
Oh yeah.
And I say we now, but I mean, just tell us about them lads, like, especially.
Oh yeah, to travel from Montana with a statue of St. Patrick. and then to appear on the field at the right time during our first game, it's like, where are these guys? It was phenomenal. I thought that was outstanding. I thought, I definitely look up to those guys. I thought that was really cool to go that far with the statue to support us. They were there for us no matter what, leading all the supporters and the cheers, when everybody's supporting us and stuff. I mean, that's it right there. Like you said, it's a tribal deal right there. And being a Montanan, whether I'm rodeoing, playing hurling, traveling around the country, traveling in Ireland, I carry that tribal affiliation with me. Like, being a Montanan means a lot to me, especially that not only my family, on one side of my family go back to thousands of years, so I've got a lot of heritage here as well. And so I bring those two things together. I like, there again, that parallel of tribal communities and tribal societies. Yeah, I mean, I carry being a Montanan with me everywhere.
Yeah. And like Chad made a funny comment about it. He said that it was funny because, like, I mean, the two of them are so crazy, and then Turbo as well. I mean, so mad just to come and go to New York, go the whole way to New York just to watch us play hurling. But then it's like they're old, they're kind of mad that they did it. But then again, it fits right into the team.
Oh yeah, it fits right in. I mean, just full on commitment, full on crazy. I mean, full on enjoyment though too. Those guys, they were in it to win it. Like, every moment. That's one thing, if I could have gleaned out of like that whole experience, is that I would, lately in my life, I've been trying to take a step back and trying to soak up the moments that are going on, because that's what we have around us. And that those guys, they epitomize that, man. They travel all the way from Montana to New York with a statue. They're cheering for us. They're in it. They're enjoying every bit of it. Those guys, they're loving life, man. That's hard not to be pumped about that. And you can't look down on that. You just can't, because those guys, they're fired up about life. And it just kind of blows your mind, man. But it's cool at the same time. There's a lesson to be learned in it, Yeah,
because they kind of fit into that whole mentality of the just the kind of craziness that surrounds this team. That kind of, it's nearly like a dysfunctional, functional family.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, everybody's bought into the team, into the family, into representing each other, into being there for each other. The positivity. We're also here to enjoy it. We're all here for very similar reasons. We're having a good time. We're playing hard. We're winning. All those things come together because of the attitude that we have. Like you said, it's just that it all fits together. Yeah, and they were obviously right into that mold of just that craziness. Of just crazy awesome is what it is.
Double and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put that hair and turn her on the rocky road. All the way to double and whack foot all day.
What a great interview. We really want to thank Naoise and Kaleb for sharing their conversation with us. Kaleb really embraces community and does indeed have the heart of a warrior. You can hear this in the way that he speaks of his family and the people that are important to him. And if you've ever seen him on the pitch or in the arena facing down a 1,500-pound bull, you know exactly what this looks like. Kaleb still calls Montana home, and he works as an RN at St. Pat's here in Missoula. We'd also once again like to thank the Blaggards for allowing us to use their music for the podcast. You can find them online at theblaggards.com, where you can listen to their podcast, Slappercast, find their music, check out their tour dates. Really, give them a listen, check them out. Just a great group. We would really like to thank everyone who follows us on our social media, helping us spread the word about this great community, and an extra thanks to those of you who have contributed directly to the cause with your financial support. This helps us get to more events, talk with more folks, and bring more of the content that you're looking for. You can find out more about how to contribute online at ourhurling.com. Click on the Support Us link. We would also like to encourage you to visit us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. YouTube has recently changed its policies, and now you have to have 1,000 subscribers to live stream. As often is the case, we discovered this on the morning of the McEnany Cup and had to go to Plan B and switch to streaming over Twitter via the Periscope app. And while streaming over Twitter and Facebook work okay, the saved versions of these videos just aren't as high quality as the ones that we get when we stream through YouTube. And because of this, we're able to save the live streams as videos for anybody to watch after the fact. So if you could, head on over to YouTube. You can find us at youtube.com/ourhurling and subscribe to our channel. It'll help us provide better content. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you back here for more Hurling in the Shadow of the Rockies.